Hello and welcome to Witchy Woman Podcast. I am your host, Danae Sweet, and this is Season 5, Episode 5. Today we're going to talk about symbols in witchology. I was going to say witchology, in witchcraft. Jesus. Also, we're going to look at what is cultural appropriation versus appreciation. I think this is a topic I've probably already talked about before, but we're going to revisit it because I hopped on Witchtok on TikTok the other day, and it is a fucking shit show. Okay, last episode, I did a card pull for the 2-week period in between episodes. I'm going to do it again today. I'm pulling from the Witch's Wisdom Oracle not decks. Anyway, here we go. I am asking Spirit to give me a card to guide us through the next 2 weeks. What do we need to know the most to help us be prepared for this time period? And what is the most important thing that we need to know for our greater good? Okay. All right. Interesting. I got the card says tarot cards and guidance. With these cards, they each have like a little incantation, like poem in the guidebook. So I want to read you that. So it says tarot and guidance. This is the card. Questions asked. Why, where, or what? With tarot by your side, fear not. For guidance comes through clear and fast, revealing all that you have asked. This magic is worked with harm to none, so mote it be. There, it's done. So what does this card mean? I think this card is saying, if you need help, if you need some guidance, ask for it, whether that is from tarot cards or from people. If you need guidance, it is there. It's also saying trust your intuition. So whether you use tarot cards or oracle cards, or maybe you do tea leaf divinations, whatever your flavor of divination is, I think this card is saying turn to it. What does it say? This isn't saying going to go get a tarot reading from someone else. I believe this is pointing towards yourself. It's saying you have the answers. I think this card is also saying maybe you're missing out on some messages and signs from your spirit team. Have you been paying attention? Are you just screaming into the void for answers but not actually paying attention to what your intuition is trying to tell you or your spirit team is trying to tell you? So in order to focus that, let's sit down with your cards and do a spread today. And if you're somebody who has not tried any kind of divination, here's your nod to try it. I think this is it's a fun way to connect with your spirit team and or your intuition, so go for it. I think Mercury retrograde is over, so congratulations if you made it through with your mental health intact. Mine is hanging on by a thread. So that's my state of mind lately. I don't know if anybody else is this way, but Mercury retrograde usually just makes my brain like mashed potatoes. My intellect is not even reachable during that time period. So, and I think we're in the shadow still, and I still feel a little jumbled in the head. It's probably also like a myriad of things: stress, mental illness, perimenopause. If there's any perimenopausal or menopausal witches out there, I feel you. It's not been fun. If you have joined the coven lately and you have not gotten an email, I am super sorry. I checked to see if all of the automations were working, and they're of course not, because fucking Mercury. That's what I'm gonna blame it on. So I will be sending out an email to each of you individually with instructions on how to get onto the Marco Polo group. So sorry for the delay and I really was hoping technology would have my back. I've been very busy. I don't know if I've posted anything about it online, but anyway, my house has been in a construction state since last year in middle of July. So we've had 3 sets of contractors that all have sucked, and the latest one totally messed up our stairs last week, and so I know this is totally a first world problem, but it's very stressful to have people in your house when you are a very, very private person and they're in here all the fucking time. So it's been a shit show. Let's get on with our episode though. So, symbols in witchcraft. Symbols in witchcraft might be a little hard to teach over a podcast, but I'm going to give you what I can without actual visuals. You're going to have to use the magic of the internet as you listen to this if you would like to see visuals. Those of you that have signed up for the course online can follow along with said visuals, okay? So symbols have a deep history in the craft. They can be used to invoke deities, conjure spirits, protect yourself, gain abundance. The list is almost infinite. Before complex language, there were symbols. And really, symbols hold as much power as a well thought out incantation. The pentacle and the pentagram have got to be the most prominent symbols in modern witchcraft that you're going to see on social media. These symbols are loaded with baggage from conservative, evangelical, anti-witch campaigns, as well as meanings from movies and pop culture. You'll see them painted in red on walls of horror films to evoke feelings of evil and devil worship, which is fucking stupid. I think we can thank the satanic panic of the 80s for a lot of negative connotations with that symbol. And honestly, it's feeling very satanic, panicky. It's feeling very 80s out there right now. I don't know what the climate, like the social climate for anti-witch, that kind of stuff is in your area, but it's feeling very pitchforky here in western Nebraska. So anyway, let's start with the pentagram. A pentagram is a 5-pointed star representing the elements and spirit. And this is in the context of modern witchcraft and neo-paganism. There are other meanings for this. I'm just using this broad meaning for it for the intention of this podcast. One of the earliest places that we see the pentagram is with the Heptameron. I'm sorry. It's Heptameron. It's a French collection of 72 short stories, and the Keys of Solomon, of course. The pentacle is a pentagram with a circle around it. The pentacle is a symbol of balance, power, enlightenment, protection, divinity. There's other stuff, but those are the main ones. The origin of the pentacle can be traced back to Mesopotamia as far back as 3,500 or 3,000 BC to the Babylonians and the Sumerians. Interesting, huh? The circle represents slightly different things to various groups that use it. For some, the circle represents unity and protection. A few other meanings of the circle would be balance, control, and power. The pentacle has been held sacred by almost all ancient civilizations. Some of those are Greeks, Egyptians, Mayans, Indians, Babylonians, and Chinese. You might be surprised to know that in early Christianity, it represented the 5 wounds of Jesus. There are many other symbols and systems of symbols that you can work with as a witch. Some of those include the Elder Futhorc runes, alchemical symbols, the witch's alphabet, and sigils. There's a lot. That's just a few. You may want to look these up and see if any of them resonate with you. One of my favorite symbolic systems to work with are sigils. These are symbols you make based on a phrase or intention, such as, say my intention was, I am always divinely protected and safe. There are many different ways to create a sigil based on that, but in short, you use a number system to assign each letter of that phrase. Sometimes repeating numbers are left out, or sometimes vowels are left out. Depends on what system of sigil creation you're using. It depends on what resonates with you. And also, you can just you can imbue whatever you want with your intentions, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So in certain systems, these numbers are written down like a clock, and a line is drawn from number to number, creating a symbol. I'd like to add other symbols to that sigil in my own practice to create my own unique, powerful sigil. For example, I could add alchemical symbols to a sigil I created for wealth and protection. So say I made my sigil that way, and then I could decorate it basically with other symbols. So I could use Jupiter for wealth and, attaining abundance. I could add that to my symbol. So how can we use symbols in spells, rituals, and also everyday type witchcraft? I'm going to name off just a handful, okay? So some ways you can use sigils are everyday life. I draw symbols with my finger on the bottoms of coffee filters before I put coffee grounds in them. For example, on Thursdays, I use the symbol of Fehu for prosperity. Thursday is ruled by Jupiter, which is the ruler of money. So you could incorporate the symbol for Jupiter as well to create a compound symbol and put that on, like I could use like a combined version of that that rune plus the symbol of Jupiter and put that on my coffee filter instead. I use symbols when I clean. So I use a little bit of salt water and lemon to draw protection invoking pentagrams on my windows. On my front door, on the outside, I'll draw sigils created that bring whatever I want into my home. So think love, joy, health, prosperity, that kind of stuff. You can draw those on your house, on your windows, on your step, on your thresholds, that sort of thing. Drawing symbols for health over tops of food dishes as I cook is something I've done for years, and it's become something that's basically second nature to me now. So I do this in restaurants especially, so that our food is blessed with like good energy. One of my favorite things is drawing protection and safety travel sigils on all of our vehicles with my fingers in the dirty windows, and you can do it with black Sharpies on your tires if you'd like. I also found these cute little, this, I'm going to sound super girly here and probably not very intelligent, but I cannot think of the fucking word. It's the place where you put the air in each tire, the valve covers. Shit. So I found cute little, pentacle, valve covers to put on all of my vehicles. And what I did is I took all of those valve covers and I put them on my altar. I did a blessing basically for protection. I imbued these with the energy of protection. I asked a particular spirit to help me with that. I used herbs, oils, all that good stuff. And then when that was done, I went and put them on my vehicles. And it looks super cute. You can barely see them. So like, I have not gotten any hate from anybody for having a pentacle on my vehicle in like super, super conservative red country yet. Knock on wood. Anywho, another use is to draw symbols of plant and herb correspondences on the pots that they are growing in. So I just feel like this creates a purpose for the herbs way before I harvest them. So you're imbuing them with their witchy properties from the beginning. I know they already have these properties because they're grown, like they are that property, but I just feel like if I'm going to I'll use protection again. So say I'm growing some rue, and on that pot, or even like if it's outside my garden, I'll put a little stake in the ground with a sigil of a statement on how I want to use that energy of protection from this plant. I just really think that's a fun way to incorporate a little bit of extra stuff into your gardening. Okay, so if you're listening to this as if you're taking a course, then your assignment is to go online and search sigil methods, SIGIL methods, and learn at least 3 different ways to create, empower, and disempower a sigil. You'll need to be able to create one, activate it, and if needed, deactivate that sigil. Maybe you made one to protect the address you live in and you're moving. You'll want to get that one gone so you can move and make a new one for your new location. Okay, so I hope I've given you enough to think about and chew on about sigils and symbols and how you would like to maybe incorporate them into your witchcraft practice. Mercury is still affecting me. Sorry. So anyway, I hope that you've had enough info here to kind of use it as a platform to jump off into and study and decide how you want to do sigils. If you're a seasoned witch and you already do sigils, awesome. Maybe look up to see if there are other ways that you can use them that you don't already. And next we're going to talk about cultural appropriation versus appreciation. And the reason I'm touching on this again is because I ventured into Witchtok. I hate that place. It used to be so fun there, and now it's just people wanting to, what is it? One guy said he married Hecate, another one, now they want to curse the Fae or hex the Fae. I don't know. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of weird fighting with each other over stupid shit and so much. I'm looking at you, white ladies. White ladies, do not. Just stop. So I thought I would do a little bit of a refresher on what it is. What is a cultural appropriation? This topic, it is argued over so much, and it really doesn't need to be. I've seen witches on social media get nasty over it. So nasty that hexes and curses have been tossed around at each other. And as a mayo-colored and flavored human in a country that was settled literally by genocide, I think it's our responsibility to learn. Learn about what you can and what you should and should not be messing with in your witchcraft and or spiritual practice. There are plenty of herbs, spells, rituals, deities, and processes in this community to go around. And some of it just isn't for me because of the origin of the said herbs, spells, deities, etc. Addressing cultural appropriation in the context of witchcraft and spiritual practices is essential for fostering a respectful and inclusive community. Okay, so cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation both involve the use of elements from another culture, but there's a big difference in meaning and effects of those things. So let's start with cultural appreciation. What is it and how does it tie into our practices? Cultural appreciation is the respectful and meaningful acknowledgement, understanding, and celebration of elements from another culture without trivializing or misusing them. Intent and respect are what we need to look at, okay? Those are the key words. So intent. What is intent? Genuine cultural appreciation reflects positive intentions and respect, valuing the significance of cultural practices, traditions, clothing, art, and more. Respect. This approach involves learning about and honoring a culture's customs, traditions, and histories, often fostering cross-cultural understanding and harmony. So what does that even mean? An example would be purchasing traditional beaded earrings from an indigenous artist demonstrates cultural appreciation as it supports the culture and the artist. So yes, buy beautiful jewelry from indigenous cultures. Something that would be appropriation would be you making indigenous style beaded earrings as a Caucasian mayo flavored brethren, and then selling it on Etsy, pretending that you have the right to sell an indigenous style beaded earring. That takes away from the actual indigenous artists. So don't do that. So on that note, what is cultural appropriation? So this occurs when elements of a culture are taken by members of another culture without understanding, respect, or acknowledgement, often leading to exploitation and insensitivity. So the issues. Cultural appropriation can perpetuate stereotypes, commodify sacred items and symbols, and marginalize the original culture. Power dynamics are something to consider as well with this. So often cultural appropriation involves a dominant culture adopting elements from a marginalized or oppressed culture without considering historical or social contexts. So here's an example. There is a Facebook ad that came up that had indigenous art for sale in a town not too far from here. I was interested in some earrings and I messaged asking her if they are indigenous made, and she said no, she makes them. She's a very white person, as pasty white as I am. I asked her if she had indigenous ancestry or if she was selling art for somebody through her shop that was indigenous, and she said no. She just likes the culture. That is literally what she texted me. She said, I just like the culture. This is 100% not cultural appreciation. It is 100% cultural appropriation to do this. She's selling indigenous art made by a mayo-flavored person in a mayo-flavored shop. So no, I did not buy those, and I let her know that that's cultural appropriation, and it's not right. This lady we're white. We belong to an oppressive culture, and she's making money off an oppressed culture. She's also driving away sales from, potential sales from indigenous artisans in the same area. She didn't take what I said very well and let me know she's going to sell them anyway, and she doesn't give a shit what I say. I can't stop her, but I can point it out to her in a gentle parenting way so that maybe some of it will stick. I heavily doubt it, but I gave her the information, and what she does with it is up to her. So how does this relate to the witchcraft community and our individual practices? Closed practices, that's how. There's witches and magical practitioners, and they're going to argue till they're blue in the face that nothing is a closed practice. I'm not going to spew their arguments here because, to be honest, I think they're trash, and I'm not going to perpetuate their shitty takes here. Closed practices refer to tradition. Gosh, I still can't. I'm not going to edit this. Screw it. I'm having a hard time stumbling over my words today. I'm very sorry. Closed practices refer to traditions, rituals, or belief systems that are typically limited to a specific culture or group of people, often requiring initiation to participate. So, what are some examples of closed practices? Native American spirituality. Many Native American tribes consider their ceremonies and rituals closed to outsiders as they are deeply tied to specific cultural and spiritual contexts. One of the latest things on social media is that some people were called out for using the term spirit animals. They have asked us specifically. Native Americans on social media have said, can you please not use that term that's specific to our culture, white ladies? So let's not do that anymore. Stop saying spirit animals. It's really that simple. Another closed practice would be voodoo. Voodoo rituals and symbols are guarded and generally restricted to initiated members only. Why the hell, as a white person, would you want to participate in a spiritual practice that calls on their specific ancestors, not yours, the ancestors that your ancestors oppressed? Like, that is a dumb idea to start with, and I'm sorry I'm being so blunt, but it's so annoying to see. It's just annoying to see white people do that. Just don't. Another one is Shinto rituals. The indigenous spirituality of Japan, Shinto, includes rituals performed by priests and are often kept within the community. This is not for us, white people. Stop it. These closed practices are meant to preserve the integrity and authenticity of sacred traditions. Sharing these outside of their original context can lead to misinterpretation or disrespect. So respecting these boundaries is really crucial, okay? So let's just stop doing this. When integrating new traditions into your spiritual practice, research is really essential. It is our responsibility as a practitioner to verify whether the traditions, tools, or rituals that you're interested in are open, and to avoid appropriating practices that are not. Mistakes can happen. But if cultural appropriation occurs unknowingly, it's important to just acknowledge it. Stop using that or the practice and continue learning respectfully. For instance, a frequent example in witchcraft is the use of the term smudging and the sale of white sage by non-indigenous practitioners. I know. Everybody's going, seriously, do we have to talk about this again? Yes, we will have to keep talking about it until everyone just don't do that. Just leave it alone. Smudging is a sacred indigenous ritual and part of a closed fucking practice. Stop it. Selling white sage without indigenous involvement not only takes resources away from indigenous practitioners, but also risks commodifying a culturally significant plant. Alternatives to white sage exist, making it possible to honor cultural sensitivities while still practicing responsibly. So use another fucking herb. You don't need to use white sage. And stop using the term smudging. I'm sorry if I'm getting a little heated with this, but oh my God. It only takes 5 minutes to get on like Witchtok or any other social media app within witchcraft spaces and see some white person with dreads using the word fucking smudging. So stop it. Sorry for that rant, but it applies to other things like voodoo. If you are looking to hex somebody and you're as white as a snowman's ass and your ancestors are also mayo flavored, then using a voodoo ritual that you found online that invokes Papa Legba is definitely not something that you should be doing. Cut it out. let's think about it for just a little bit. Okay, let's break it down. If I'm a Caucasian persuasion person and I know my ancestry is white as fuck, a bunch of my ancestors oppressed people of color as their damn hobby here, basically, in the US and abroad. What do you think would happen if I get some priestess voodoo curse and call on those deities and ancestors to carry out said Pinterest voodoo curse? That deity is going to eat me alive. The absolute Caucasian audacity some witches have is astounding. It's not that we are trying to limit your craft. Nobody is trying to limit your craft, okay? We're not gatekeeping shit. We're just saying that we should be respectful of other people's traditions and ancestors. And we're trying to keep you from having the wrath of a closed practice's ancestors whooping your ass, okay? As the exercise in this lesson, let's do something productive. I want you to write down an experience that you had when you realized you were committing cultural appropriation. I'll go first. Early in my practice, I didn't know about white sage being closed. I didn't know about the term smudging being a closed practice as well. I was just copying what I saw online in some books. I remember buying a beautiful white sage bundle with rose petals wrapped on top of it. I was so in love with it, I used it immediately. It smelled amazing, and I was just doing my thing, saging every day in my house. Then I heard a podcast. I was listening to a podcast, and they're like, yeah, don't do that because I'm not Native American. So I stopped. It was really that fucking simple. I was like, oh, I don't use this. I put it away, and I started using other herbs. And honestly, these other herbs that were more meant for somebody like me worked better. Like, they work for me. The sage, the smudging, that's not me. That's another culture's practice, and there's a reason that shit doesn't work for white people. So, I'm going to apologize for my perimenopausal rage at the last half of this episode. I have calmed the fuck down, and I could edit all that out, but I'm not going to. So if you are going along with this as if you were taking the course from me, you have your homework. Assignments, I highly, highly recommend writing your feelings down about cultural appropriation and how the actions of that affect marginalized groups and cultures. That is all I have today for our class content. Next week, look forward to an episode about a poisoner. No, it's not the Aqua Tofana one. It's a different one. She's a witch. It is amazing. I love the story. It involves witchcraft and poison potions and royalty. And I fell down a rabbit hole researching this, and I think you're going to love it. So stay tuned next week next episode. I get 2 weeks. Next episode. So until then, stay witchy. Bye-bye.